What is up, everybody, and welcome back. Ken Jr. from Giving It a Try. Thanks for tuning back in, and for all of you tuning in for the first time, today we are talking about the New York City Marathon, the 50th running in New York City. As you all know, last year this race was canceled, and we had to push it to this year. It kind of fell in line with things. We finished a first full Ironman 6 weeks ago, and we had to run this marathon afterwards. On the race agenda for the year, it really wasn't an A race. I had only done one standalone marathon before this, 2 years ago at Suffolk County on Long Island, and then the marathon at the end of that Ironman 6 weeks ago. Obviously, it's a little different than that Ironman marathon. I didn't have to swim and bike before, but it is a different beast altogether. I only had that one race to really compare it off of. We definitely trained more appropriately this year, but quick backtrack, that Suffolk County Marathon, I did run it with a friend of mine, Gabe, who's a very fast runner. I chased him the entire time. He kept me honest, and I thought at that time that that was going to be basically the pinnacle of just running a marathon in my life. It was a flatter course than New York City, and we had a great day out there. I believe we ran a 3:41 that day. So going into this, the Ironman was done. The swimming and the cycling kind of took a back seat for a little while. We were just getting our feet on the ground, getting those runs in, staying disciplined within the program that we had. Recovered from that Ironman, pushed through, and here we are. Not sure really where the ambitions were going into this, but I will say, even though this is a bucket list race that I think everybody probably should want to do at some point, I wasn't a big fan of just going to the city in general, having to go there ahead of time for packet pickup, going there super early in the morning, waiting around for hours before the race starts in Marathon Village. I really wasn't looking forward to all of that. It's typically cold this time in November, so kind of in my head, I was setting myself up for kind of the miserable day, if you want to put it that way. Yeah, I know, but I'm a triathlete at nature, and I'm just used to that summertime swim, bike, run type thing. It was on the schedule, we were doing it. I trained with my friend Katie, who came back from having her second kid earlier in the year. She did the New York City Marathon 2 years ago, and she was looking to crush it. Kept her accountable all year. We trained together, and she was set to have a great day as well. I put all the planning on her lap for this. I kind of was nice to not have to get too involved with the planning process. She planned when we were going to the city for pack and pickup, when we had to get there, what buses we were taking. It was nice to just kind of give all that to somebody and just let me know where I got to be and when. So here we are. The time just ticked away. Packet pickup. We shot in Thursday night, and just a side note, leading up to this marathon, I've been taking a class at work, a rope rescue class from Monday through Saturday of this past week, right before the marathon. It was all day outside, buildings, underground, on my feet all day. Sunday was off, that was the marathon, and then we're back in the class this week, Monday through Friday, 10-hour days. It's labor intensive, but I kind of knew with that marathon schedule, that played a part into what my realistic goals were going to be for the day. I knew I could be going in there with very tired legs, and kind of we'll see where we're at that morning and see how we feel. So pack and pick up, we go in Thursday night, very smooth ride, train ride to the city, quick walk to Javits Center, went in. As far as the packet pickup, things flowed very smoothly inside. It was pretty, from the other people that have run the marathon, very spaced out as compared to usual. Not as many people because they were spacing out the times that you can be there, but it was actually a pleasurable experience. The merchandise was laid out well. You were able to kind of get your hands on everything, see everything going on there. All the vendors that were there, everything was set up very well, very clean, in and out, the process, getting your bib, getting your shirt, just they have this down to a science, obviously. It's the 50th running, you think they would by now. So we enjoyed ourselves, got ourselves a pretzel in the city, headed back home because we knew Thursday, Friday night were gonna be the important sleeps you need before a race, because you know the night before, especially Saturday night, you gotta wake up early. Chances are you're not gonna sleep very well. Thursday it was, Friday night, next thing you know, it's Saturday afternoon, you're getting ready to hit the sack for Sunday morning. That alarm clock went off really early. I believe we took a 4:45 train into Penn Station, took a nice little hike a few blocks up to Midtown at the Sheridan, where we met with the NYPD Running Club. We signed up with them this year, so we were able to take their buses to the Marathon Village. So we got there a little early. The bus was set to leave at 6:30. We had about 45 minutes to stay on the buses. They were nice and warm and running. Got to see some friends on the bus. And it really started to be at this moment when the buses left the Sheraton to head to Marathon Village that the morning and the magnitude of the atmosphere was really starting to pick up. They give you a nice little escort down to the NYPD area of the Marathon Village in Staten Island, and New York City was coming awake. The sun was coming up. It was just realizing, you know, this is like the biggest marathon there is and you're about to take part in it. That ride there, just kind of tried to chill, tried to veg out, actually caught a couple minutes sleep on the bus. Everybody, you can tell, was just getting super excited. Got us to Staten Island. There was a certain area the NYPD running club was able to be at until it was time to shuttle down the block to Marathon Village for the start. Had food, warm tent, bathrooms, couldn't ask for anything better. This is the way to go for us, because if it was to be really cold or rainy that day, we would have had some cover. Now, weather was set to be perfect. It was cold in the morning, we layered up and basically shed what we had right up until race start. And then it was about 50 degrees at race start. The sun was coming up. We had a 10:40 start, which actually, even though I kind of complained that it was a little too late and we had to be in the city so long before, like got there 5 hours before our race start, actually was perfect because the sun was just coming up. Things were getting warm at that time. Jump on the shuttle bus from the NYPD tent. We head down to Marathon Village. We walk in and basically we get to the middle. There's a bunch of different colors. I was blue, she was orange. There was another color. And that was it. It was like we trained all year. I got my races done. This was my last big race of the year. This was her A race. And it was, you know, some words of wisdom to each other. And that's it. We parted our ways. She had her area she had to start in. I had mine. And, you know, we just, hey, good luck. We'll see you at the end. Hold it together. Navigating around the village was kind of difficult. The blue area kept having different directions. I wound up being in the wrong area, walking around, and the time was ticking away. Finally got to where I needed to be. Met my buddy Jason. It was good to finally, you know, see another familiar face and just be able to hang out and talk for a little bit. Next thing I know, they're calling people to get into your corral and basically get ready to line up for this race. See the Verrazano in the background. You're in your little area. You start to get ready, got my running shoes on, start to take some of the layers off, was just staying hydrated the whole time. And that's it. You walk into your little corral, you're kind of there caged like a, you know, like a bunch of, you know, farm animals basically in certain areas designated by, and obviously they just have this down. Things flowed very smoothly. And with the less number of people, just about under 30,000 this year as opposed to a lot more than usual, things I heard were a little more spread out than usual. So once we got into our little areas, again, it was about a 20-minute wait. You're standing around, there's bathrooms right there. People were spread out enough. It was just a comfortable environment. And it was at this point again where things came up to another level inside. You're like, all right, we're ready to do this. We're gonna give it an honest warm up, a few miles over the Verrazano. Don't go too fast because it's the biggest hill of the day. And then see what happens once we land in Brooklyn. So we line up, they start corralling us basically to the beginning of the Verrazano Bridge. The cool part about my start was I was actually one of the first groups in that start time. So I was right up on the starting line. There was probably only about 100 people before me. And then when I turned around, there was just waves of people on the other side, under the bridge. But it was nice to be right up on the starting line, right next to the announcer, right there for the national anthem. Time was ticking away, everything was getting set up, and I felt good. That's what I was waiting for, was to just see how I felt that morning, just to see at that starting line. Do you feel good enough today to give yourself that honest effort and push all day without falling apart before the end? 1 minute to go, bang, gun goes off. We start moving. It's just quiet going over the bridge. It was pretty cool just to be there. The smiles on everyone's faces. Everyone's got their own journey, their own story, their own race they're running against themselves that day, or why they're out there, fundraising, all this great stuff. So you had some time to think for that first mile or two getting over the bridge. I kept it easy, kept it about just under or about at a 9-minute pace just to warm up, get over that first big hill. And then next thing you know, you come off the bridge and then you landed in Brooklyn. It was at that moment when I saw the people on the side of the road, and it was just electric. From that point, until the finish line at Central Park was something I've never experienced in a race yet. To be able to just have people cheering and out there all day for the 4 hours or plus or whatever you're going to be out there was amazing. The support through all the boroughs, running through Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, Manhattan, it was just electric. Think about it. 28,000 people or so, possibly their friends, their families, just the people living there, all those people lining the streets, just cheering people on from start to finish. So things felt electric, but I knew inside, just keep it consistent. That was the name of the game for the day, consistency. I know where I'm at a good pace for long distance, where I can hold that level with a decent heart rate. So we kept going at it. Fueling strategy was around mile 3, every mile there's an aid station, just keep taking your Gatorade. I had 3 gels on me at about miles 7, 14, and 21. I would take them, and I had salt with me just in case when those muscle cramps start to set in. If not, around mile 8 to 10, I would start to take some a little bit at a time. Kept up with the fuel. Every aid station, made sure I took a cup of Gatorade, make sure I took my gels at the proper time, whether or not I thought I needed them or not, and started that salt before every aid station at about mile 8 or so. Interacted with a few people out there. It was cool just to talk a little bit as, you know, you kind of got into a rhythm and you were going over the bridges where things got a little quiet. But I must say, ahead of time, people said, just watch out for how electric it is. And then for when you go over those bridges during the race, how quiet things get. And those are the tough parts. But for me, I actually enjoyed those quieter parts. It kind of just lets you settle down a little bit, bring things down. But once you came off those bridges, man, it was just electric again. There really is no way to describe what was going on running through those streets unless you were able to be there spectating or participating in the race. This is definitely a bucket list race for anybody who runs that distance, whether you're a triathlete, a runner, or whatever it is. Especially if you live in the area, the geographical area of New York, it's a must do. Just the intensity and the atmosphere out there, you will never find at another race from start to finish of that distance. I don't think it could happen. The course itself, although they claim it is hilly, it really isn't that bad. If you trained well throughout the year, you did some hill training, you did some hill repeats, they're manageable. And especially if you've done your long runs and you did some hilly long runs, you'll get through it. So coming off the last bridge, headed back into Central Park, things just went well up to that point. I said to myself heading out there, get the first few miles done, be in that 9-minute range, see how you feel. The first 10 miles is good to just knock off, see where you're at that point. I would kind of reassess myself every 5K or 10K after that. And then when I was approaching mile 20, you know that when you're running a marathon, they say there's wall that you hit after mile 20. Well, as I was getting there, 17, 18 miles, I said, this is where the tough part's gonna come. Will make or break your day. But you're not hitting that wall. That's kind of what I told myself. You're just not gonna hit it. You're gonna stay consistent, you're gonna stay strong, and you're gonna finish this thing out just the way you were. Once I was going into mile 20, doing the math on my watch, I was under by about 4 to 5 minutes from that PR if I held the pace from 2 years ago. Now granted, you're probably gonna slow down towards the end because it is a long race and you're gonna get tired with the last few miles. We held pretty consistent though. The energy was just there. Seeing Central Park right there, you know the finish line is near. It was just great. Having that last 5K to go, hitting Central Park, getting the last couple hills out of the way, and then getting into some of the declines in Central Park, really, the crowd just got narrower, tighter, louder, and you were able to just continue and push through if you felt decent enough. I knew on my watch that if I just kept going forward, again, I could have, for myself, a great day, a great race. Was able to push through, and then hitting Central Park though at that end, seeing that 800-meter sign to go, and just when I see things like that, I just revert back to all those sessions you did at track, those 400s, those 800s, and how many of those reps you did at certain speeds. And it's easy to say in your head, wow, 800 meters, it's 2 laps of a track. Let's just knock this out. Let's just go full on and get this done. Hit that 400-meter sign. You know the finish line is coming around one of these turns. the crowd was just on fire still. And people were just in the zone. So I don't, it's easy to kind of just tune out because you just want to finish. But if you were to just give that crowd that little bit of recognition for them cheering you on, they would get even louder. So at the end, I was just feeling it. I was, trying to point to the crowd, clapping for them. They just started getting louder, and that just amps me up. We were able to continue forward, nice and steady, cross that finish line, knew we did it, had a great day, consistent day, was able to shave a few minutes off our PR. We finished just under 3:37 and shaved about 10 seconds a mile off our pace from 2 years ago on a harder course. Can't say enough about it. It was just the day that came together perfect. Yet again, this year has just been phenomenal with weather and races and just the atmosphere involved in each of them. And I must say, I have to retract some of my thoughts about the New York City Marathon. Whether you like big events or not, this is just a unique marathon unlike any other running event or any endurance event, I should say, that I've done to date. So I want to congratulate everybody that was out there. Tons of local athletes that had their either first time New York City Marathon like myself, first marathon altogether. And I'm sorry to say though, for all the people that definitely did their first marathon as this marathon, it's going to be very hard to top what you did this past Sunday with that crowd and atmosphere that was out there. But shout out to Katie, she killed it. She had a massive PR over her last marathon. She's going onward and upward from here. She has some great goals for next year. And that's it. All the A races are done this year. We have a trail half marathon in Brookhaven 2 weeks from now with a few friends. We did that race a couple years ago. We're going to give that one last honest effort for the year, see where we're at as against the last race that we did there. And then in December 18th, I believe, we're going to be doing our shore-to-shore fun run again, raising money for Team Blue Line. We're going to start in Cold Spring Harbor on the North Shore of Long Island, run the Nassau-Suffolk Greenbelt Trail south to Massapequa, and we're going to have our shore-to-shore 20-mile run. There's going to be more information on that coming in the next week for all the local people out there. And that's it. We hit our fuel for the day. We hit our paces for the day. We executed the race just like we anticipated and just like we planned for in training. And afterwards, sat back, enjoyed the night with our families at a little post-marathon party. And thank you to rxivinfusions.com, our recent affiliate that we linked up with. If you've been following us on the website, we had concierge service, got some IV fluids at the end of the day, post-workout recovery, immune booster, some B vitamins, some magnesium. They do it all. There's special packages that you can get. There will be specials if you mention Giving It a Try, if you give them a call for all the local people out there. If you want any more information on it, see the link below. And that's it. Thank you again. We felt great afterwards. The energy came back right away after we got that done. And we're back to life. We're back to work. We're back to being dads, moms, and everybody else out there. And we're feeling great. So that's it. New York City Marathon, done and dusted. It was a great day. Another fantastic effort by everybody out there. And I can't wait to see you at the next race. So you know the deal. Stay safe, stay healthy, balance that life 1 mile at a time, and we'll see you on the next one.